In one of the most intense phases of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, large-scale Ukrainian assault units have reportedly engaged opposing forces in brutal, close-quarters combat across contested frontline zones. The fighting, marked by trench raids, urban clearing operations, and armored thrusts, reflects a dramatic escalation in both tempo and proximity. Ukrainian mechanized brigades, supported by artillery and drone reconnaissance, have launched coordinated assaults aimed at breaching fortified defensive belts. In regions such as Avdiivka and the outskirts of, operations have reportedly shifted from long-range bombardment to direct engagements measured in meters rather than miles. Military analysts describe the fighting as attritional and personal, with infantry units storming trench networks and engaging in room-to-room battles inside shattered industrial buildings. The density of fortifications in eastern Ukraine has forced both sides into confined spaces where artillery gives way to rifles, grenades, and hand-to-hand encounters. Urban terrain has amplified the intensity. Destroyed residential blocks and factories create layered defensive positions that are difficult to clear without direct assault. Soldiers maneuver through rubble-strewn corridors while drones hover overhead, relaying live footage to command posts. In trench systems carved across open fields, close combat unfolds in narrow, muddy corridors. Assault teams move in small groups, relying on speed and coordination to overwhelm entrenched defenders. Smoke screens and nighttime operations are frequently used to reduce exposure to enemy surveillance. The Ukrainian command structure has emphasized momentum, seeking to exploit weaknesses along extended defensive lines. These operations aim not only to retake territory, but also to degrade enemy logistics and morale through sustained pressure. The broader conflict, which escalated dramatically following Vladimir Putin's decision to launch a full-scale invasion in 2022, has evolved into a grinding war characterized by artillery duels, drone warfare, and entrenched positions. However, as front lines stabilize, localized breakthroughs often depend on shock infantry tactics and direct confrontation. Close-quarters combat is widely regarded as one of the most dangerous forms of warfare. Limited visibility, confined terrain, and constant threat from concealed positions create extreme psychological and physical strain. Casualty rates can spike rapidly during assault operations, especially when attacking well-prepared defenses. Despite technological advances from precision-guided munitions to real-time battlefield intelligence, the decisive moments frequently hinge on small unit actions. The outcome of these engagements can determine control of key supply routes, high ground, or urban strongpoints. As the conflict continues, the pattern of large-scale assaults followed by grinding close combat underscores the war's entrenched nature. Gains are often incremental, measured in city blocks or trench lines, but carry significant operational value. For soldiers on both sides, the fighting remains immediate and unforgiving, a stark reminder that modern warfare, despite its advanced technology, can still descend into raw, close-quarters struggle. The fifth year of the full-scale invasion is, in many ways, a race. Both sides are fighting to convince the world they're winning, trying to shift international pressure onto their enemy. They're competing to widen the drone kill zone around the front line, each pushing its boundaries deeper into enemy territory. They're sprinting toward truly autonomous weapons that don't care about electronic countermeasures, weapons that threaten to change warfare forever. And they're scrambling to scale up industry while wearing down the opponent's economy until one of them breaks. But when both sides race at the same speed, the result is a slog, a brutal war of attrition, 1 kilometer at a time, while Russian drones and missiles hurtle overhead, killing civilians and destroying the things they depend on. What breaks the deadlock is which system of war works better. Ukraine's flawed democracy, with its thousands of startups and decentralized innovation, still struggling to shake off its post-Soviet hangover, or Russia's autocratic machine, built on centralized command, Soviet-scale production, and the willingness to feed men into the grinder indefinitely. The Russians have gained ground faster in 2025 than they did in 2024, capturing 0.8% of Ukrainian territory. According to the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, Russian forces took or infiltrated 462 square kilometers in December and 364 square kilometers in January. NATO General Secretary Mark Rutte has likened the pace of the advance to the stilted speed of a garden snail. The Ukrainians are regularly counterattacking and reclaiming parts of captured territory across the line. Meanwhile, the Russians have bled and died for every patch of soil, taking about 35,000 casualties in December and 31,000 inches, January. That's 76 and 87 casualties per square kilometer, respectively, per the ISW's estimate. The numbers could be greater. Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky reported that Russia's January losses exceeded the number of troops Moscow managed to recruit in the same period. Towards the second half of 2025, the Russians have started to rely more heavily on infiltration as a way to gain ground. Infiltrators sneak through gaps in Ukrainian defenses, then slowly strengthen their positions and bring in progressively heavier equipment. With personnel shortages on the Ukrainian side and heavy casualties on the Russian side, this tactic is likely to remain a factor for the foreseeable future. Considering all of the above, the Russians lack the strength to conduct more than one major assault operation at any one time. Andriy Zagorodnyuk, the head of the Center for Defense Strategies, told Euromaidan Press. While Russian forces are likely to continue pushing in the south towards Zaporizhia, their primary focus is likely to stay in the east, their pushes in Donbass and Kharkiv Oblast. Rob Lee, a frontline researcher, agreed. Christina Harward, Russia deputy team lead at ISW, told Euromaidan Press that Russia's strategy has been to maintain some pressure throughout the entire front line to tie up the Ukrainians. Russian attacks towards Huliaipol and Oleksandrivka over the past few months appear to be more than opportunistic, planned weeks in advance. Ukraine's ground lines of communication in the area are an important target, and Harward received reports that attacks in the south are likely starting in the spring. That being said, I do think their priority will be, as it has been for a long time in Donetsk, in order to take the rest of the region, she said. Russia's battlefield choices aren't purely military. They have this interim strategy to show everybody that they're winning, Zagorodnyuk said. So they would most likely continue in Donbass, because the liberation of Donbass has been announced as an interim strategic goal. If Russia is able to succeed there, the results would be useful to show strength to both domestic and international audiences. Not that the Russians wouldn't spin the story that way regardless, as Harward pointed out. Putin is trying to show his elites, because if he gives the impression that he doesn't control the situation, the question of mutiny would be again on the table, Zagorodnyuk said. The military leadership is trying to impress their leaders so they're not demoted.